Hi, we thought we would help everybody since we're doing everything virtually and we're sending things to each other. We thought we would help everybody out with doing measurements and how to accurately take measurements so that the garb that gets sent to you actually fits you. So one of the things we recommend is that you work from a sheet. I am hopeless at getting anything straight. Like this, either male or female. These are just available. You can find them if you go Google search. And it will give you all of your basic measurements that you need. And a few that you probably won't use, actually, unless you make shoes or hats. So we're going to talk you through it and show you where it happens. We've done this in person before, but this way, like I said, in our unusual times, we hoped this would help you. And how should I introduce myself?
The other thing to remember is that not all measuring tapes are the same.
Oh, that's true. Thank you.
So you also want to make sure that you have a measuring tape that goes from 1 or 0 to 108 if possible. And the older it is, the more stretched out it will be. So you want to make sure that you're always using the same measuring tape to do all of the measurements. You don't want to switch.
Okay, so let's start. So we'll start. No?
I'm Tisha.
I'm Carol. And
I will be the model today.
And yeah, she's the model because no one needs to see my measurements. Anyway, I'm going to do the 3 basic measurements that you need no matter what you're going to make, and that's bust, waist, and hip, and so that you can take those in the appropriate place. Okay?
And make sure when you use your measuring tape that you're using the big numbers, not the little ones.
Oh God, yes. Unless someone you're working with is in centimeters.
Unless you're making doll clothes.
All right, so bust measurement. And you can't do this on yourself, really. That's the other thing we should see. I know a lot of people try to do this on themselves. So have them raise their arms up. You're going to get right straight across the back. Turn so they can see where it is in the back. Okay? It's right straight across the widest part of her back. Turn back forward. And then I'm going to go right straight over the bust. For men, you're going to go right over the center of your chest where your, non-usable nipples are. And you're going to not squeeze tight. Also, ladies, wear a good bra when you're doing these measurements. If you don't, when you go to make a bodice or a corset or anything that's going to be fitted in the top, it won't fit right. Okay? So we want the girls where they belong. And you're going to take the measurement. It doesn't really matter what her measurement is. What I want to show you up close is that the measurement, so if I am like that, I'm going to slide it a little bit and go 23. Because you always want a little bit of ease in your garments. Okay?
And the key is not just to wear a good undergarment, but to wear whatever undergarment you think you're going to wear in whatever you are making. So if you will be corseted in what you are making, and you already have your corset, put your corset on. Because you will be much flatter here than you will be in a normal bra.
Not only that, but you'll be, if you're lacing even moderately tight, wherever you're squishy, it will squish you, including your ribs, because your ribs will give some. The other thing we wanted to mention is you should probably not take your measurements right after you eat. We all tend to bloat a little bit after we eat. Stop it.
Even me.
Skinny little thing that she is.
But we do.
Waist measurement, bend for me. So where her bend is the appropriate place for waist, okay? There is high waist, and then there is just above the hip as well. But for your waist measurement, for anything that's a doublet, corset, anything that's fitted through there, this is the point at which you want to take it. Okay, good job. For most women, unless you are very heavy, okay, so there we go. So you see, I'm not taking it super tight, I'm just snug, okay? The other thing is don't wear a really bulky garment when you're doing your measurements. If you do, it will add to your measurements.
And stand up straight.
And stand up straight, yes.
Don't bend down and take your own measurements. That's one reason you don't do your own. If you bend down and take your own measurements, I guarantee you're going to add inches.
Right.
Or you're going to squeeze tight and take away inches.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help the person making your garments.
No. Okay, so and the next measurement, will you step on the stool for me? All right, the next measurement is the hip. So the hip is typically 7 to 9 inches down from the waist, and your hip measurement is the widest point. So it's over your largest bone area, okay? And when you do it, you want to stay as straight as possible, okay? So you can see how I'm trying to stay straight, turn front, all the way around, okay? Whoops, I'm dropping down there, okay? All right, so that's how you take a hip measurement. Those are your basic measurements. If you're gonna make any kind of Renaissance medieval garb, unless you're making something that's really loose, like a tunic, you can do very loose, you need other measurements. So let's do some of those. All right, so if you're doing a fitted, for instance, cotardy, you're gonna want the just above the waist because you want to fit in here and all the way down, right? Because it doesn't drop out till here.
Just above the hip.
Above the hip, sorry. Are we editing? We should leave all the bloopers. So the hip bone, the top of the hip bone, is also a measurement you're going to want to take. Again, you're going to want to get as straight across. The reason you don't do it yourself is because you don't get straight. Okay? You will tend to dip down or rise up, and then you have a false measurement.
And that should be your boniest point, so the top of your hip bone.
Right. Okay? And that's your high hip. And I believe if you look at most of the sheets, they will have a high hip or a hip bone measurement. Okay. The other measurement that you're going to want to take is just under the bust. So ladies, if you go get fitted for a bra, this is the measurement they will take. And it's just below the bust. And if you're wearing a good bra, the girls should be out of the way. Gentlemen, if you're going to do a fitted cotardy, you will need this measurement as well. But ladies, if you're going to do an Italian ren, you will need this measurement. Again, not too tight, straight. And can we see where that is? Just under the bust. Okay? So, I swear she does have a bust.
Trick on a bra measurement, in case you've never had one, under the bust is the size bra you should be in. So if that measurement is a 30-32, you should be in a 30-32 size bra. If it is a 36, you should be in a 36 size bra. Then you take the measurement across the bust. The difference between this measurement under your bust and the measurement over your bust is your cup size. So if this is a 30 and this is a 32, then you are a 2 inches difference. You are a B. Does that make sense? So you go up 2 cup size. Each measurement, each inch is a cup size.
Okay, step down for me.
Just a trick for you.
All right, so one of the kind of not often done, but important for fitting things like doublets, turn for me, is back and front bust measurements because we aren't the same size. So if you're 34 inches around, you aren't 12 inches in the back, and I'm sorry, 34 would be 16 inches. No.
Sorry. No, it would be 12. No.
17?
Wow, 17.
17 inches.
We haven't had enough coffee.
Yeah. I was told there'd be no math. You are not going to be the same measurement in the back typically as you are in the front.
This is especially true of women who are busty.
Yes.
Or women who work out and have a wide back.
Right. Okay, so
or women who are flat like me.
True. You center under the bust, usually where your seam line is on your shirt, to center, I'm sorry, under the armpit, I said bust, I meant under the armpit, will be your back measurement. Okay. So she is an inch larger in the back than she is in the front. Actually, 2 inches larger in the back than she is in the front. She works out. She's got a big back. Okay? So this is where you take a back measurement for fitting. It's right straight across here. So ladies, it would be right above the top of your bra. Gentlemen, it would be your deltoids where they're the largest. And you're going to take that measurement, like I said, from armpit to armpit. And then you do the same across the front. Okay? So it's exactly the same.
That's really sad that I'm 2 inches bigger across the back.
I lied. It's the other way around. You're a little bit bigger in the front.
Thank you. She had to just take away from my chest. Just rude.
Just cause. So, there. All right.
That's why we double check.
This is why you double check. The other thing is there's another measurement, especially if you're going to do an Italian wren or a fitted square-necked Renaissance gown, and that's from tip to tip of bust. And the reason for doing that is so that your front of your dress will fit properly and not bulge out or not smash you. Okay? So from tip to tip.
I don't really need to take that measurement. I'm not that big. I'm very small here across. So I basically take my measurement from shoulder to shoulder, which we'll talk about in just a minute.
We'll do, I was going to say, we're going to do arm size, shoulder, and arms now. So, arm size, really important measurement, and it's not one that people think about very often.
Can I go back to the breast for just 1 second? One of the reasons that we take back measurement and chest measurement, if you're wondering why we do them separate, is for adjusting a pattern. So if you are going to adjust a pattern in the front and the back, and you are not the same size, if you adjust them equally, your pattern is not going to fit. But if you know that you are 3 inches bigger in the chest than you are in the back, and you adjust your pattern accordingly, then when you adjust your pattern, you can make a mock-up, and you can always adjust your patterns that way. They will fit you better.
Right, and your seams will fall out where they're supposed to then, which is kind of important, especially when you're doing square-necked or when you're doing V-backed. You want that to be the correct size, otherwise they will bulge out. Okay.
All right. That's enlarging or
shrinking
a pattern.
Either way.
Either way.
Yeah. All right, so for arm side, excuse me, I'm going to walk in front of you.
This is one that most people mess up.
Okay, so the arm side, she has a set-in sleeve here. I don't think you can see it because it's really dark, but where your sleeve sets in.
If I come up closer, you can. See the set in there?
Okay, where your sleeve sets in, that's your arm side. When you measure your arm side, you'll note that this does not pull up into it. If you pull this tight and take this measurement, I guarantee you when you go to make that doublet, dress, whatever, it is going to cut you so bad that you will never want to wear it again.
You'll be bruised. Case in point.
Yep. All right, so you can see she's got a good shirt on for this. That's about the ease that she needs. You can see that from her arm, I'm trying to push this up so you can see, from her arm to where a comfortable arm side is down a couple of inches. Okay? So always give plenty of ease in the arm side. It will make your life so much better. So most, if you get a period pattern, most patterns have to be adjusted. They're way too small. Okay? Unless you happen to be a toothpick.
I'm a toothpick and I have to adjust them because I have a bigger back.
Right.
And so what happens is when you do this to go hug someone, or you do this to go huzzah, your dress or your doublet or whatever, your tunic, it cuts the crap out of you. And you do end up bruised, swollen, red. It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. By the end of the day, you're very unhappy. All right, so turn around for me. I need your back. All right, so back is from seam to seam on most of your T-shirts. That's your widest point. From there to there, okay? You can also use the bones of your shoulders. So if you're measuring and you don't have a shirt on or whatever, bone to bone is the other way to do it. While I have her turned, I'm going to show you another one. Nape to waist, if you're adjusting, if you're going to make a bodice, a doublet, anything that's fitted and you need to adjust your back length, you need to know what your back length is. Sorry. You have the last vertebrae in your neck, that is your neck vertebrae as opposed to your back vertebrae, pokes out. From that to where you measured the waist, where she bent for me. I want to make sure I'm getting the right spot. Yeah, okay. She bent for me so that I could make sure I got the right spot. That is your nape to waist. So you can turn around front. You should do that both front and back. In the front, you can see you have like the bones where your collarbones come together. Right there in the center. Again, to the waist. And she's shorter in the front than the back. That's not uncommon. Okay? Especially for guys. because they will have larger backs typically. So you want to make sure that you do front and back. If you are adjusting something that's fitted and comes to your waist, you want to make sure that you have that length right, because what ends up happening is it buckles. So you'll end up with this buckle up like that, and that will not look attractive. You'll be unhappy with that. Okay, so we have done chest, waist, hip, high hip or hip bone, under bust, shoulder to shoulder. You should do front and back, by the way. I just did the back and I did not show the front. Same thing. Bones, or where your seam is on your shirt. If you have a shirt that fits nicely like this, it is from there to there. And she is actually a full inch smaller in the front than she is in the back.
That's because I have bad posture. But if you have really good posture, sometimes you can be the same front and back. So
It's pretty
don't
rare.
think that it's weird if you're the same.
Yeah.
However, most people are short about 1/2 inch to 1 inch.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're going to do arm. Arms are never done. You want to do the
Make
bicep?
sure you flex.
So that's actually not silly.
Just kidding.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. We'll do the bicep first.
We'll do bicep. We're going to show my guns. You guys didn't know we were coming to a gun show, did you?
Stop it.
Just kidding.
Okay, you do want to actually flex, because anything that's a fitted sleeve, and again, you'll note, hopefully you can see this, it's not super tight.
We're not going to show you this measurement because you guys will laugh. I don't want you to be embarrassed at home, all you guys.
Chicken arms.
Hey, it was 13. Just
You're going to do the same thing.
It's way bigger than that.
Flex your hand. Flex your hand for me. You're going to flex your hand, okay? And you're going to do the same thing right around just below the elbow.
I think my forearm's bigger than my bicep.
For your forearm measurement.
I better get
Okay.
to the gym.
And wrist.
You can't flex your wrist.
You can't flex your
It'll
wrist.
strain your forehead.
Okay. So, interesting fact, most people are between 6 and 7 inches in the wrist. Doesn't matter how big you are.
All people's.
No, there are some people that are smaller and bigger,
Some
but
people.
pretty average is between 6 and 7 inches.
Do you
So
know
if
why
you're
that is?
making,
Because that is a testament of what your bone size is.
right,
So, that's why.
Yeah.
There you go.
there you go.
Little fact for you.
Okay, fist again. Big
Yeah.
fist. Always do a fist measurement
Or
or a wide hand. I just do it in a fist because it's easier. Because you have to get your hand through the end of the sleeve.
I was going to tell a joke there, but I'll keep my thoughts to myself.
Her Excellency
Sorry.
has made dresses where she could not get her hand through.
Then you just add a button, people. Slash the sleeve, sew it by hand.
That
put in
is
a button.
That is the trick. But so her wrist is 6 1/4, I think.
I
is
like-
what we got. But her fist is
Is
9.
I know
Okay.
this by heart, actually, because this happens
We've
to
done
me
this
a lot.
time. A time
Okay,
or
but
two.
the other trick is if you want a fitted sleeve, which I like really fitted sleeves, and I like them to come down to my knuckles. It looks really weird to have a fit and flare because it's not period. It's super period actually to have a little bit of flare at the end of the sleeve, but to have a fit and bell sleeve, that's not super period. Unless you want those big bell sleeves, which is not really what I'm into because I, work in the kitchen a lot. I do a lot of service stuff, and
She can't hold her
doesn't work.
hands still, that's why.
Plus, I talk with my hands. So, you can actually slit the sleeve, sew the end by hand, and add decorative pretty buttons. It doesn't have to. Then you can just roll them back. Problem solved.
Okay. All right, now length.
Your Excellency.
So your length, bend your elbow. I'm going to smack you. You want a slight bend, not a super bend. Again, from the bone.
So this is my bend, just so you see it. It's not like this. It's not like this. It's more like between a 45 and a...
like a doll arm, kind of.
Yeah,
It does kind
Barbie.
of.
We're having a Barbie arm.
You can take the measurement to the elbow if you're going to do a shorter sleeve. But if you're going to do a long sleeve, you continue on. At the very least, you're going to go just below the wrist bone, right here. Most people won't do a sleeve shorter than that. That's a long
Which
sleeve.
for me is about 21.
Actually,
22.
You're about 22 3/4 there.
I have a really long arm.
Yeah, she has really long arms. All of her upper body except for her head and neck.
Should come to the side.
Okay. Third. Gentlemen, neck is important if you're going to do anything that's fitted up here. Actually, ladies, it is for you too if you're going to do partalettes, if you're going to do a doublet,
Ruffs.
if you want to make a ruff, you want an accurate neck measurement. Real quick,
My neck measurement is 13.
Her neck measurement is 13.5 because she's leaning forward. Okay, what we just said about standing up straight, there's a perfect example. Her neck is 13 inches, but because she leaned forward, she expanded those muscles on the side. So it is very important that you're standing up straight when you do measurements.
But as a singer, and all of you Barts can speak for me as well, you do want a little muscle tension in the neck, because if you make anything too tight in the neck and then you go to sing or speak, it will choke you to death.
It will.
So just make sure that you add at least a finger's width if you're doing anything in the neck.
Yeah.
And I recommend a finger because it's like a dog collar. Just remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so length. If you're going to measure your length, I like to do it from the top of the shoulder all the way to the floor. If you're going to wear shoes that have some height on them, you can always add the height of your shoe to it. You don't necessarily have to have the shoes on when you do your measurements. But you want to do from the top of the shoulder all the way to the floor. Okay? You can also do it from the front, where we did the nape to waist, and the collarbone to waist, or the back, the nape to waist. If you are a larger person, we tend to bubble out a little bit. So if you're doing something that's fitted, your length in the back might be slightly different than your length in the front. But if you go from here to the ground, you can level out when you do your hemming. So this is my preferred method. That's just me.
Always leave about 2 to 2.5 inches for hem length.
Yes. All right, inseam and outseam. Inseam. Gentlemen, if you don't have an accurate inseam, your pants will be really danged uncomfortable. Ladies, they won't be real comfortable on us either. So it is right from the underneath the pubic bone to the floor again. Okay? Outseam is from the waist, if it's going to fit you at the waist. I always do the outseam from the waist. If you want to drop it down, it's fine. You're just going to hem it up a little bit more. So go from the waist. So from the waist, I should show that, all the way down. Okay? All right. Thigh. Thigh measurement is, again, we're going to get a little bit personal. I've already done this to His Majesty, so, what the heck. Again, not super tight. Most of the garb that you will make is not going to be super fitted anyway in the leg, unless you're doing throughs, and you want an accurate measurement so it doesn't hang down ridiculously. Above the knee, if you are doing a fitted pant leg, I'm right above her knee bone, so you can't see her knee bone. Calf. Calves are tricky. You want the largest part of the calf. So yeah, you want to flex it. And again, you want to Captain Morgan on my leg?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. She's got great balance, thank God. And you can see I'm going around the widest part. That's her calf measurement. And then ankle, the same thing, right around. Okay? If you're doing anything with a cuff, here, and here, you could do right below the knee as well, depending on where your cuff is going to end. And again, knee bone, right below the knee. This is going to be a smaller measurement than this, unless you have very unusual legs. Okay. All right. What have I missed? Oh, true. So you can step down for that one. In the upper body, there's a couple of different measurements that you can use up here. But the one that will, make your garments fit really, really well is to understand the distance from your neck to your shoulder bone, okay? And the reason being is if you're doing a doublet, a fitted bodice, cotardie, this spacing right here, if this is not correct, your neck will either come up where it doesn't belong, or this will crunch on you, or it will pull everything this way, which is really uncomfortable again. All right, have I missed anything else? Let me look at my sheet and see if there's anything else that's really handy dandy. Head, if you want to do hats. The midriff. Well, yeah, depending on where you're going to end your Italian. So yeah, if you're going to do not the real short-waisted Italian, but you're going to do like it's still high-waisted, but it's not quite umpire high. You're going to want to go, this is the end of her ribs. You're going to want to do a measurement right at the end of the ribs because that's where your fitted part is going to be. Ladies, if you're larger and you're busty, secret for you, this is the place to end your Italian bodice because it's super flattering, okay? So again, I'm dropping down on the sides there. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure you're straight. So notice I just looked at it and went, okay, that's not straight, and I double checked it. Okay.
And tip, if you are making Italian, before you do your skirt, you want to measure from wherever your end point is for your waist to the floor so you can get your skirt measurement.
Right, which is not any measurement that exists on anything else.
Correct, because it's not
wherever
from here to
you
here,
end that.
It's wherever you end your waist. So if
right.
you end your waist under the bust, then you want from here to here. If you
right.
end it in the mid, then you want it from the mid to the floor.
Right.
And then add that 2 inches.
Also, you can do you've got your outseam, which will work if you're doing a straight skirt. If you're doing a later period and you have the point coming down, one of the things to be careful of is, and I think it's the best way to make the best use of your fabric, is to make your bodice piece first and then do the measurement from the point of your bodice piece because your piece is going to have to slope down. The skirt piece is actually going to have to slope down. And you won't know what that slope is until you make the bodice, unless you've done it before. Head. If you want to do hats, there's a couple of measurements. You measure across the occipital bone in the back, which is where you bump out, all the way around to the front. She has a wig on today, so she's a little larger there. Okay? But you also want, I'm so sorry, I'm beating her with this, from the top of the ear to the top of the ear for anything that's going to fit over the top of your head. So if you're doing a French hood, if you're doing an attaché, if you're doing like one of the small fitted veils, if you're doing a coif, all of those, you want that measurement. Otherwise, it will not hang where you want it. It'll be either too short or too long, okay? So those are the head measurements. That's all the basic measurements. We will post this and make it available to you. And if you have questions on it, feel free to contact us. You can contact us on Facebook at the Barony March of Moms to Nitrous, or you can email us at coronets@bmmt.org. And have a great day and send your measurements accurately.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
We'll also post the link to both measurement sheets that we use if that's helpful. And thank you for joining us today.
Bye.